I live in New York City. I've been there. I've been in the United States almost 26 years now. I moved there in '93 from Mumbai. I'm trained as an architect, and then I specialized in architectural lighting design at a technical research center called the Lighting Research Center. It's in upstate New York at a school called Rensselaer, where my thesis, this is 1994, was my master's thesis was on color preference index, also called the Flattery Index, which was a forgotten indice in the realm of color science. Color science in when you are using lights to light a building, to light a space. I was working on a concept called memory colors. Memory colors is a very unique concept. The memory that you have of a color is always two Munsell chroma steps more saturated than the real color. So I started studying that construct across many countries, many different materials, and there was this index called the Flattery Index. So the flattery, like how much do you flatter a structure or a building or people with light. The concept being, of course, about memory colors, you know. And that then led to a more organized index called Color Preference Index. Now, this is all research that I did in the 90s. And then I did the research and then, published some papers and moved on. But what happened with me was that a few years ago, I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, besides running my design studio, we have 4 offices, uh, that do architectural lighting, we've always been research oriented. So I'm probably the only architectural lighting designer who owns technical patents. So I went in. This is a very interesting story. I went in I was doing a big hospital in Long Island, New York, and I was in a meeting with a big architectural firm, which I will not name. And I explained to them how color works with the human physiology, psychology, besides the fact that, blue is going to make you feel this way and red's going to make you feel that way. But a little more than that, right? Way more than that, actually. And I had senior architects, all with 30, 40 years of healthcare work, just looking at me going, is this a science or is this just something you're making up? I'm like, I know it's, Nozier did it, there's in Ayurveda, you have that connection already, you know, and but where we can't really use that, because none of the hospitals would agree to it. So I tried this that was a very important line for me. That's if the hospitals won't use this because they don't think it's a science, and I'm like, it's all science. This is not hocus pocus, make believe kind of stuff. This is all a science. But I couldn't get them to come around on engaging with color in what I call the latent properties of light. Not the active properties of light, which is give you light levels and. So then what I started doing is Trojan horsing. Trojan horsing being that concealing these color ideas, you know, in specification that it doesn't call attention to it, but it still kind of goes into the project. It's actually working very well because I don't call attention to it, but I still infuse it. And the example when they say, okay, hey, what's a Trojan horse? How does it work? I say it's like this, right? If you do any kind of cooking and if you use any kind of spice, right? Some people, if you say, oh, I'm going to put white pepper in it, no pepper, right? If you don't tell them there's pepper in it, they taste it and they say, oh my God, this is delicious, right? But they don't know there's pepper in it. And that's what I'm trying to do, you know? I just want them to respond to it and say, how's the taste, right? So that analysis and all these studies of trying to get in to mainstream architecture led me, to do this project, which you guys were there. And thank you for your gracious comments here, which is, it's a self-funded project, which, I've been working on in sacred geometry within the space, in creating frequencies and wavelengths and color to sound connects, etc. So that it's a more holistic environment from all fronts. So color, sound, light, projection, storytelling, etc. Obviously, this particular one that you saw in terms of the color sequences is deeply influenced by, there's a scripture called the Bhagavatam, which is, it has visual imagery, which of the Brahman, which is the cosmos, etc. That obviously influences me in my journey in figuring out where one is going. So there is a spiritual side to it, of course, but more importantly, I'm using this to create this opportunity to create a space or a module that can then be replicated around the world, right? Most people don't want to go to a place and they say, "Oh, come here, I'll treat you for depression," or "Oh, you got, you're feeling suicidal. Why'd you come and I'll treat you?" Most people don't want to admit to, right? So we are finding names like, first of all, we call it the solarium. Second, we are finding names like "You Are the Miracle." That is essentially a chakra alignment. But for people who are not exposed to it and are suffering, you know, they'll be able to enjoy this instead of, shooting up drugs or going to a bar. I feel very strongly that if I did this, say, in some part of New York City as a public sparks project, right? And that you have this, the idea is that it's a geodesic shape and it's got a lot of other things happening, then this could really become a place of color therapy for the public at large without calling it therapy. You know, you say, so 8 o'clock there's a show, 9 o'clock there's a show. You come with your family or you come by yourself and you meet others have also gotten the hidden messaging. You are the miracle is really about your depression. That you are kind of like you are a creation of, the supreme energy, and whatever your faith is, that's not important.
Please move as close as possible to the center and make yourselves comfortable.
I'm talking about a city like New York because that's a context I know very well. 25 years that people are alone. People are alone. They don't, they go to work, they come back, they don't really talk at work. It's not, all of this doesn't really happen. Everybody's too busy. They start a conversation. Hey, did you see that? I'm like, yeah. And then they have a life story exchange and suddenly they made a friend. For people with special needs, who are going through struggles, this could be a huge opportunity, because I think it would subtly treat them without them thinking that they're being treated, you know, but still use color therapy.
Take slow, deep breaths as needed to quiet your mind, to prepare yourself to let the solarian mirror your soul to you, the miracle that you are.
And because it's an important mission, it's not just fun and game flash trash. I mean, I love the projection stuff that we saw, but there's really nothing that changes besides entertainment. Basically, flash art, flash trash as I call it. It's good though. Huh? I'm not disputing that it has a value to and a place for it. But the real therapy is in using that for the public at large. You know, light, as said in this morning's this thing that has always been unfettered since inception. It was only our conditioning that made our ego want to control it. Because I have money, I will get better light. I'll get light fixtures from Italy and France and whatever. Why? Light is light. We should just use it for its amazing properties. Use color for its amazing properties. You know, and there are enough really smart people in our group here, as you know, ILA. But my goal is, because I'm the architect, I'm the only architect in the group here, a lighting designer, architectural lighting designer, is that to take all that knowledge, and almost kind of translate it uh, through a common, through a regular conversation translator, that you turn it into like simpler terminology and see where it takes us. So this project, the Solarium, um, I put a lot of time on it. Barbara also helped, um, and I firmly believe that color therapy is the way, to go, especially in urban environments, in places where you're not on the beach every day and you have your life stress and etc. So the mission is that we will be able to do this in many places, and it won't be just my creations, but it could be a place for other artists to come in and also, display their color solution. Push it. So, uh, it's a good start here. There was a wonderful group of people there, and hopefully it'll go. No, not hopefully. It'll definitely go further. But I think it's one of those things which will catch momentum very soon. So, yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank.